Welcome to Spaces That Heal, where we explore health, wellness, and intentional living. I'm your host, Denicia Vinos, and today I want us to pause for a moment and think about something we do every single day. We eat. But how often do we actually stop and ask ourselves, why do we eat? Food is not just about hunger, it's about habits, emotion, culture, environment, and sometimes survival. At its most basic level, we eat because our bodies need energy. Food gives us the fuel to function, to think, to move, to live. But if we're honest, that's not the only reason we eat. Sometimes we eat because we're stressed. Sometimes we eat because we're bored. Sometimes because food is there, or because everyone else is eating. Other times we eat because we need to, due to illness or the need to take medication. And sometimes we eat because food has been used to show us love. We decide what to eat and when to eat in very personal ways. The number one reason we choose which food to eat is taste. The predominant preferences are for the sweetness of sugar or the savoriness of salt. High-fat foods are another universally common preference. In many cultures, there is also the liking for pepper or spices such as curry. Aside from our personal preferences, there are many factors that influence the way we eat, such as daily habits or ethnicity, tradition, and heritage. Then there's social interaction, availability, and convenience. Then there's positive and negative associations. There are some instances where a father or a parent may take their child for ice cream every weekend, and so the child forms a positive association with that food item. And as they grow in and mature into adulthood, they tend to eat more of that food to make them feel connected to their parents. Emotional comfort and even the value we place on food. Supporting local farmers. Some of us may support companies that use recycled materials, or we may prefer not to use foods that use too much preservatives. Throughout this season, we explain how faith, culture, and history have shaped the way we eat, and what becomes clear is that our eating habits are not random. They are learned, they are practiced, they are passed down from our families, our communities, and our environments. At its simplest level, food provides nutrients. Carbohydrates give us energy, proteins help to build and repair the body, fats support important functions in the body, and vitamins and minerals help everything work the way it should. But knowing this is only part of the picture. In real life, we don't just eat based on what our bodies need. We eat based on patterns, based on what is available. We eat based on what we are used to. And sometimes we are not eating because we are hungry. We are eating because it is time to eat or because it feels normal to eat. When we look at our Caribbean context, this becomes even more important. Our food is rich, flavorful, and deeply connected to our culture, but is also often prepared in ways that are high in oils, fried, or heavily processed. Street food is convenient, accessible, and part of everyday life. And then there are our holidays, our celebrations. Our gatherings are almost always centered around food. And while these things are meaningful, they also shape how often we eat and how much we eat over time. For many of us, food is how love was shown. A full plate meant care. Being encouraged to eat more meant concern. Certain meals meant comfort, connection, even family. And because of that, it can often feel difficult to separate food from emotion. Saying no can feel uncomfortable. Choosing differently can feel unfamiliar. The main issue is that in our culture, the way we eat is linked to obesity. It is one of the most major problems we have in Trinidad and Tobago. Did you know that if you have a child and your child is obese, that the insurance company, if you decide to add your child to your insurance policy, the insurance company can refuse to insure your child due to your child's obesity? So that's one of the ways where the way we eat influences our health. Parents tend to use food to show love to their children, especially in instances where their situation is not ideal. When parents live separately, there are the instances where one parent may use food to show up the other parent or to win that child's love. But awareness allows us to keep the love and rethink the behavior. This is where awareness becomes important because the goal is not to remove culture or to remove enjoyment. The goal is to understand our behavior, to understand when we are eating out of need and when we are eating out of habit, to recognize emotional triggers, patterns, and influences that we may not have questioned before. We also need to be aware of our knowledge gap and take steps to learn more and be more educated on the food we are eating. Where did it come from? And consider what nutrient value are we getting from the meal we are eating. At its core, we need a balance of nutrients to maintain and sustain life. Each nutrient has a role in our body and contributes to our overall health. In Trinidad and Tobago, we eat large portions of carbohydrates in each meal. Some meals are only carbohydrates. Others we eat carbohydrates and fats together. Example, a traditional Sunday lunch. There's rice, provision, macaroni pie, maybe even pasta salad or potato salad. Vegetable content is minimal. For some of us, we eat a lot of fried foods, doubles, roti, palori, fried pies or pastry pies or samosas. So what can we begin to do? Let's start with awareness. Ask yourself, am I hungry or am I used to eating right now? Look at your plate. Is there balance? A balanced meal contains carbohydrates, protein, or some sort of food from animals, vegetables, both cooked and salad type, and a minimal amount of fats. Is there variety or are you eating the same food item every day? Pay attention to frequency. How often are you eating? Are you eating mostly junk or healthy foods? Most importantly, the quality of the food that make up the meal is important. How often are you celebrating with food? Once you understand your behavior, you give yourself the ability to choose differently. Not perfectly, but intentionally. You can still enjoy our culture. We can still celebrate. We can still share meals with family. But we need to do so with awareness and balance. The goal is not perfection. It's not about removing the foods you love or changing everything overnight. It's about becoming more aware and making small intentional shifts over time. Food is part of who we are. It is part of our history. It is part of our culture. It is part of how we connect with others. It is also part of our health. And the more we understand the role it plays in our lives, the more empowered we become to live with intention and to care for ourselves in a way that truly supports our well-being. Because where you live and how you live should support who you are becoming. Thank you for listening to Spaces That Heal. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone you may need to hear it. And until next time, choose awareness, choose intention, and choose spaces